Duck and cover.
Hello and welcome back to Surviving Classical Music. I'm Grace Newcomb.
I'm Andrew Byrne.
And today we're talking about... That was a nice intro, Andrew. Today we're talking about God knows what.
So, this is my turn now. Okay. Now I have to say what we're going to talk about. So I totally stole your thunder there. Sorry. So what we're going to talk about today is just a couple of days ago, the Canadian... So I'm going back to my own... This is my own background.
Of course.
So Canada, no. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, which is like the public news guys. In classical music, they're probably the only. They still have a station which is like mostly classical or classical jazz.
Yeah.
Stuff which is more arty than
What's RT?
You know what I mean? Art music.
Oh, RT. I was like, what's that abbreviation?
RT, Russian television? No. So they, they're the largest by far disseminator of classical music in Canada in general. But they're kind of, what they do in terms of reporting on classical music is patchy. Sometimes there have been some really impressive articles that have come out of them. One in particular that I remember is, I think, from 2014 or 2015, where they had this article about how the average musician's lifestyle or living wage and so on, or wage, was far less than an art administrator. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was ballsy for them to say well, you know what, if you're an art administrator in Canada, you have dental, you have pension contributions and that sort of thing, whereas that the people you're administrating have almost nothing. That was ballsy for them to have published. But every year, and this is where I'm going, every year they publish, since 2013, a top 30 30 hot musicians under 30, right? And then of course the first sentence of this is, Merriam-Webster defines the word hot as having lots of potential or something like this. Anyway,
my God.
And so it's not to say when we're talking about women, we mean they're attractive, or men, or whatever, but anyway, but it's one of these top 30 under 30 things, which they do every year.
Okay.
And what really piqued me, I knew it was published, this article was published, but only 2 or 3 days ago did Emily Fortin, who's a trumpet player who's been on the podcast a couple months ago, maybe in May or April, around then. And she's a trumpet player living in Montreal, if I'm not mistaken. And she made a comment about how, absolutely, power to the guys who got on the list, and they've all done great things and have a lot of potential and that sort of thing. But actually, what does this do? And this simply adds to the idea of, are we competing for recognition? And also when you look at the criteria, it said the article is written by one person and there's no transparency as to how.
It's probably pretty random.
Yeah, it's who knows who, and this guy's a producer, so he hears stuff, and and it says in the one of the opening paragraphs about how they found these people based on having done recordings, won awards, or gone to big schools recently. It makes you think okay, first of all, almost nobody in the lists, when you look down the couple of years that they've been doing these, hardly anybody who went to Europe immediately for their early studies and stayed in Europe, they just don't get recognized because there's no communication back with Canada. And I just find the whole process really bizarre. It's like the side of classical music that's still existing from when, having a record deal and being written up in a magazine was regular, was something where people would have a magazine, opera today or something like this, and they would, and this person, and they're going to be singing in our opera house, and it just seems so out of date with I don't know, with what I understand classical music to be in general.
But maybe it pulls in the punters. I mean, also, if they're not picking up on people who have started or maintained a career in Europe, maybe people in Europe aren't really reading that, it's not really for them, I guess. So it's probably a kind of, like you said, that station that you mentioned it's kind of artsy, but it's maybe accessible. It has a mix of genres, non-pop genres, I guess. I guess it's just aimed directly at that. People who like to, people who enjoy music, they're not necessarily sort of the most nerdy listeners of classical music. And that's one career path that you see popping up everywhere. You get the kind of commercialized classical musician. Obvious example in the UK that everyone, goes on about is Catherine Jenkins, something like that, where it's really like classic FM. She does TV shows. She's all glitz and glamour. I don't remember what she sounds like at all, but I know people they sort of love to hate that as well. I feel like they're kind of separate careers in a way. Like that's the kind of pop diva of classical music, isn't it? And maybe if you get on this list of hot, the 30 under 30. I mean, the under 30 thing as well. I know that they just mean up and coming. But of course, the hot under 30, all the associations is all right. But I think for some people that like kind of audience really suits them as well.
What I find interesting about this list in particular and the year before is that although the thing is they go in like descending in age, like it starts with people who are 29 and then it goes down to people who are like 12, whatever. And what I found most interesting about the people who are the first 5 or 6, so the oldest of the 2021 and the oldest of the 2020 crew, it all began with this person's career looked like it was going to be messed up, but then they did something digital during the pandemic. Do you know what I mean? And all the power to them, and they deserve, I think especially those who like shifted focus in the pandemic and kept their career alive. Absolutely, they deserve recognition for that. And then the younger ones, of course, like they were still studying or they weren't even in their bachelor's yet. And, fine, that's a different situation. But what I'm missing here is, okay, those are some success stories, but actually what would be more beneficial to the scene is actually a lot of individual pieces on people who have who's not in this emerging artist category. And what I get from in a Canadian context, if you're on that list, you might get one concert a year where it's kind of glitz and glamour because you got on that list. But in Europe, if it's like top 30, under 30, all the countries are like, great, we can get this person and we don't have to pay them. Do you know what I mean? I don't like this whole emerging artist thing. It seems glitzy. And if you go to festivals where they're like, oh, we have this whole category of emerging artists, the photos are nice, the people dress their best, they want to play their best, but actually, are they getting paid the same as Cecilia Bartoli, who's headlining the same festival, right? So but we're giving you an opportunity.
Well, if they only pay in exposure, then there's more of a problem with it, certainly, yeah. The emerging artist schemes, that's something we've talked about before as well.
So much.
And I really have mixed feelings. I still have mixed feelings about this kind of thing where you have the kind of commercialized marketing of classical music that is probably relatively accessible. And we were also advised when we were on an emerging artist scheme.
Yes,
we were advised to do things like this as well. Short clips of accessible, fun music, and the audience is people who. They do like classical music, but they're never going to be interested if I tell them, the in-depth history of a medieval motet or something. That's a bit unfair. Some of them would be. But it's not really what they want. They want to feel something when they look at this picture and they see the glamour and they hear their favorite Beethoven or their favorite string quartet. I feel like it's almost a completely different game to what most of us here do in early music. Not in early music, obviously you can do this in early music as well. But most of our crowd here, it's a completely different game. It's like a different career path. And I feel it's probably as different a career path as the difference between somebody who wants to do live performance and somebody who wants to do have a digital persona. You need different tactics, and you need to have the right personality for it. You need to be a little bit shameless as well. Not shameless, unashamed is probably a better word, because there's no shame in them for like furthering their career. But they have to be okay with the fact that sometimes they have to do something a bit cheesy, or they've got to wear the sparkly dress, which I imagine might get a bit annoying for some of these women who they want to be recognised for their music, and maybe in the back of their minds they're thinking, have I made it on this list because I look good on the magazine? I don't know. I don't know. Haven't been put in that position. So.
I feel like we need a segment on this show where we not only we're talking about our own things, but where people are sending in their
pictures in glitzy dresses.
No, a segment where it's like, what awkward situation has been created when you were asked to do this thing, and you were like, no, but do I have a choice?
Yeah.
For example, one example, or when something's sprung on you, like the one that I know we talked about it on this podcast, or you told me that story where you had been asked to be present during a live stream of your own performance at a festival, and then at the end they said, please make donations, and the donations actually went to the festival and not to you.
We didn't have to be present, but they used a previous concert recording, a live concert, as a paid ticket concert in an online festival. So they used a recording from the previous year of us giving a live performance, and then did new ticket sales to watch it digitally. And
didn't share the sales with you.
No. This was, and I
no,
we didn't get anything for that. But on the one hand, I think, that's a bit cheeky. That's not really on. On the other hand, thinking benefit of the doubt, even though it is definitely cheeky, it was a time when festivals were probably super struggling as well. It just would have been nice to have a little bit of acknowledgement of that, and to say, look, this is a bit cheeky, but we're really struggling with the pandemic. We've got no live concerts. Would you guys be okay if we tried to...
That. They said, would it be okay if we restream one of your shows? And that was it.
I don't remember the wording, but I just remember thinking...
I mean, there was a bit of hijinks at the end there. Like, what I know when you told me the story, that leading up to it, you thought they're just playing it again.
Oh, I see.
Then,
the end, it was like... I don't know if it was tickets or donations. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I do remember thinking, oh, they're getting paid for that, and it was our concert, and we're not getting...
Yeah.
But...
that rubs me the wrong way.
I think it did at the time, and it's long enough ago now that I've forgotten about it completely, and probably try to be understanding. But it's something that I think should just be communicated about, because at the end of the day, that kind of media, I'm sure they owned the media because they had the camera guy there, and we,
Yeah, but you should have signed a deal with them about the publication rights of that recorded media. I
don't think we did, but I don't remember.
Okay.
But in any case, obviously the content of it is my own work. So, but I must have agreed to it. I must have said, yeah, sure, fine. And then thought,
'Cause I played in a festival. This is almost not quite at the same level, but I played with two friends of mine in a festival 3 years ago, and we were told, we're recording this for radio, but we will sign an agreement with you before we ever publish anything. And we got the agreement like 2 weeks after we had performed, and it said, please list exactly what music that you would allow onto the radio, if at all. And if we don't get anything, we assume there's no deal. We will not publish. And I didn't sign anything in the end, because I wasn't, like, listening to it, I thought there was some music, but almost like it wasn't the whole concert, And so that was kind of where I left it. And then like 6 months later, I get a text saying, congratulations, we're streaming it tonight on Dutch radio.
Oh, no.
The whole concert. And I had to, I spent 2 hours trying to phone anyone at the festival, and the festival was closed. Like the festival wasn't really in their festival mode. You know, there hardly anyone is staffed and so on, and they weren't answering their phone. And then I was calling the radio station. It was like, I'm the guy whose music you're playing tonight, and I don't agree. Like, there's no recording deal here. Oh. There's no publishing deal here. You have to stop. I have the copyright. You have to stop this thing.
What happened?
Well, they stopped it, but with only 1 hour before the show. And so
you double checked that they hadn't said it the other way around.
No, I know. I absolutely know.
Oh man.
That I was right. And I had to but the thing is that they did this social media blast 3 hours before the thing, being like, this ensemble is going to play. And I had to immediately write, no.
No, it's not.
No, it's not, you know. And, but it's just one of those things which actually, I think they intended to make the social media blast then, thinking that we would not back out.
You thought it was purposeful.
Yeah. I think they were like, you know what, if we just put this on all our media channels, they'll be like, oh, wow, thank you so much, festival. Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm not going on the national radio.
And they're like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Andrew Bond. Yeah, but it's good. I mean, if the agreement is broken, it's good to speak up about it. Mm-hmm. The other thing that we should speak up about is, you know, things like my situation where I just feel too awkward. In the moment, I will say yes to anything. I shouldn't say these things on camera. But in the moment, if somebody asks me something that I'm uncomfortable with, my instinct is to nod and smile and say, oh, I'm sure we can work something out, and avoid the problem, avoid the confrontation till later. Like I did today. I was telling Andrew a story earlier about me literally running away from somebody today just because I didn't want a minor confrontation. That's something that is not helpful in a music career, because situations like that, or like the replay of the concert that we must have talked about last year, you got to learn to wait and see what your gut feeling is, and see if your boundary is actually being crossed, which I'm terrible at.
I actually signed you up today to sight read Handel on a podcast.
Great. Okay. Yeah.
I'm joking, but I'm not really joking.
Oh God. I have to learn.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I learned from you. You actually did it. You wrote to them and said...
Yeah, I called and wrote, and I do not give permission. It was like, that was like the title, the subject line of all caps. Because that's the thing, is that some people, like when they go to work, they have so many emails in the inbox, you don't even read the titles. But if it's all caps, you might pay attention to be like...
Or it will look like a scam.
Yeah, or absolutely. Otherwise, it goes to spam. They publish a thing. I sue them. I don't think that would have happened, but also, yeah.
It's orcs.
But I think we need a segment. I think every week you guys should send in your stories about these awkward situations which are created where either it's like taking advantage of your goodwill. Let's say that. You know?
I've just thought of an example I should not advertise.
Please. It's a free... this is a safe space, Grace.
It's so bad that it's funny, and I'm just going to tell you guys anyway. We had one of our sort of residencies, our emerging residencies. This is an email I've been meaning to write. They wanted to do a little clip for their Instagram. We were rehearsing, but we were like having a break or something, and we were just in some random room somewhere. And very, very sweet woman comes in and says, oh, I'm doing social media and we just need 10 seconds for Instagram. And because it was in the moment, we were like, and I think probably one of them, probably Mara was there, and she might have said, do you really need it? Because she's usually the one that will actually say what the rest of us are thinking, right? Which is very useful. But anyway, she was like, oh, yeah, they told me that they really need it. So then it's like it's someone else as well. And in the end, you say, all right, we'll just have to play something. And she said, literally just play for 10 seconds. And then it goes on Instagram and then it's gone. And then we delete it later. We played something horrendous. I mean, it wasn't meant to be horrendous, but we hadn't tuned or anything. It was a phone sound, and it was like, meep, 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 meep. That's literally what it sounds like. You can look it up. It sounds like that.
They didn't delete it.
They put it on YouTube.
Oh, no.
And it's still there. So I think if you search Rumorum, one of the things that comes up is this phone clip of us untuned, which we were told is going to be a quick social media and then deleted like after the concert. And when I found it much later. I found it like last year or something, and this is from a couple of years ago probably. And I thought, oh my God, that's terrible. Yeah. You know, I have to write and take it down. And of course I forgot to do that. So it's probably still up there.
Yeah. You know, I think the way that I would frame this for anyone who is looking to like work more with festivals who are trying to be hip, you know, and I think this is one thing that, okay, no, let me finish that first thought before I say the next thing. The first thought is that if you're going to do the social media game, like, you know, you're going to be asked to do this, then at least do something which you publish on your own channel and have the festival share what you've published for yourself, because then it can only be beneficial to you, right? If somebody with a big following or a bigger following than you shares a video that you have made maybe for them, but it's on your own channel, then that will at least lead some people back to your channel.
And you can delete it.
And you have total control over the file, right?
Yeah.
But if you're going to publish on your own channel, you're going to create something which is at least a little bit more in your own voice, let's say. And, you know, like, my voice on YouTube is me throwing all sorts of GIFs and like Microsoft Paint files and stuff on top of something that maybe looks nice in general, but then thanks. But you know what I mean? Like, my voice is me like literally copy pasting my head onto a Power Rangers photo. Do you know what I mean? Which, if you go to burnbassoon.com, you can go there and you'll see the graphic is me with my head on a Power Ranger holding a bassoon.
Now you've got two excellent clips to look up.
Exactly. So, but anyway, the point is that at least then you're in total control of the media, right? Yeah. And there can only be a benefit when they share the thing. But if you give them the control, then if you realize later that was a mistake, you may not be able to take it away.
But they will obviously need to produce their own media as well for their own page. But man, you just got to hope that they check with you before they post it.
Well, they can take a photo or something, but I think video is really like, we should be doing our own video. Yeah. Even, you know, like, even now you can, there's so much flexibility with the newer iPhones, for example. And I mean, like, from iPhone 10 onwards, you know, so still a couple years back, that you can do all sorts of high quality stuff, high quality, at least visually, maybe not audio file wise. You can create media which you yourself might say, yeah, this wasn't bad, you know, even if you have relatively high tastes, you know. But if the audience knows that you're self-producing it, they'll forgive you for not having Oren Kirschenbaum. I wonder, where is he? With the gimbal on the you know, like, tracking at your every move. So, but I should make another point, which is, and going to what I also wanted to say, I've been following some festivals which are happening right now, and those festivals almost don't post on social media unless it's 2 weeks before the festival or 2 weeks before the next concert in their concert series or something. And then during the festival, they post 5 times a day or 6 times a day, live streaming. Oh, we've got this going on and whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, this is a fundamental misunderstanding of how social media works. Like, they're getting no likes. Some people view something for a few seconds, and I just can't help but be like, dude, you're just ticking a box on a spreadsheet saying, like, we did social media. Do you think that their goal is to have, you know, growth through the year, or do you think that they only need to post stuff during the festival for people at the festival to follow? Because if that were their only goal, then I guess it doesn't matter. But it's if you go on a rampage of posting once a year, that's Well, I mean, already the Instagram and Facebook will suppress your account if you're not posting regularly. Really? You know, yeah. We also got hit because we didn't post in June. Like, we went on holiday, and not on holiday, but you know what I mean. And then coming back, there's been this slow increase because I've been posting quite a bit on our channel, but already, like it's like, okay, let's start turning the cogs, again. And if you post 100 posts a year and they all happen within a 2-week time frame, people will get an alert saying this channel has just posted for the first time in a long time. But any successive post, unless you engage with the first one, it's not going to.
And if you haven't built your audience, you haven't got them connected throughout the year then.
Yeah. I just don't get it. Like if they are only communicating to the people who are going already, then it's an exercise that they don't need to do, right? Because those people have bought their tickets.
Yeah.
But if they're trying to encourage new people to come, then they have to be creating content as if they're a channel. You know?
And that's weird. I've never thought about that, but it's so true. It's like a sudden blast, and you think, "Oh, haven't seen that in a while." Yeah. And then if you're not engaged, if you're not there, or if you're not, part of the festival team, I don't really want to see every 30 minutes. Oh, now we're having a break in the coffee room. Oh, now these guys are rehearsing. But maybe there must be a reason behind it. We should ask them. It must work for something. Or do you think that it's really just like we should do social media?
I mean, it really depends on where the festival is. Yeah. If you have festivals that have government money, I think they're doing it so that they can tick a box that says we did social media, and the government says good job. Yeah. But I don't. If like in the local scene, like Basel, for example, it's all private money, and or not completely private. The city does make donations as well, but the social media game is not framed in the same way. Like what I see with the Ray Ren vlogs, for example, which the last one was done in this studio with Grace. You should watch it. That, for example, what I see those blogs as doing is, number one, showing a little bit more for the audience who are actually going to attend, like a little bit more of the thought behind it or the process or something, but also to engage people online because the concerts have been live streamed for the last, 7 months or 8 months. Yeah. So actually it's to feed into the live stream crowd. That's the hope, I imagine.
Yeah, I think it's a combined, it's sort of a however many pronged attack. We want to give people who are interested in the live stream or who are, patrons or who are regulars something to look forward to. Because otherwise it's only once a month engagement. Yeah. But also to, reach an international crowd, say something a little bit informative about the concert. Obviously, if someone's watching a live stream from the States of the concert, they can download the program book, but I don't know how many of them are going to bother to go to the website and download it and read the program notes. Yeah. So it's also kind of a mini program note sometimes for people that just want a 3-minute video on what's happening. So
there's a goal to it. It's once a month. Well, I mean, 2 things a month, right? There's the concert and the video blog. So you have these two things which are related to each other, and the hope is that sort of advertises for people to join, even though the live streams are. Actually, all of it is free. The concerts are free too.
Everything's free, but I think they rely heavily on donations as well. Okay. But there's loads of things they do. It's not just the video stuff. There's also, for people who get the programs posted to them, there's interviews. There's a column by David Fallows every month. So there's quite a lot of stuff being produced for each concert for people who want to read things or watch things or who are far away or close. So it's quite good, actually. Yeah. The only thing that we but would be nice if we could change is to put the vlog halfway through the month instead of towards the end. Yeah, right. But we rely on going into rehearsal videos and stuff.
Right, which happens
closer to the end of the month. So it would be even nicer for the viewers probably if they had if it were more regular every 2 weeks rather than 2 things very close together. But it's pretty good, I think. Right. It serves its purpose.
But already what I see is that social media engagement. I mean, and there are some Instagram photos getting posted from time to time related to the next program or to the previous concert or whatever. And but what I see is that the social media thing at least has a defined purpose,
Yeah.
you know, and that it is happening at a regular pace. It might be a rather not sporadic. That's not the right word I'm saying, but it's distanced. You know, like
Yeah.
once a month a blog, once a month a video blog, and so on.
Yeah.
But it's not everything all like right all together.
Yeah,
2
yeah.
days before the concert, here you go, concert. Okay, it's done. Nothing else.
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
stop. You know.
Yeah.
And so that's I mean, it's also a difficulty if you're running a festival rather than a series and so on. But what I'm missing is the point of where you have a festival and you do all of this posting, but like in the moment of the
Yeah.
festival.
Well, if the festival had somebody, I mean, if they had the budget for it and the team for it, they know their concerts a year in advance, and they could do little vlogs to get people interested. They could say one of the groups that's coming is these guys, do an interview or like a little teaser, or they could do, you know, something about one of the programs or the composers. But it would require a whole nother job. As it were, somebody to keep the social media running with good content, relevant content to make people book tickets. But I think that would work fantastically if they did that, because otherwise you might forget about the festival until you know a month before, and then you think, oh, I'd like that, but I've planned my holiday or whatever.
I think there's still so much, you know, the thing that we miss, especially in the classical music scene, and even more so with people who are under 30, is this idea that people are willing to invest in something if they know kind of who you are rather than what you do, maybe. And that kind of goes against maybe our ethos some of the time, is that we're like, well, I'm doing this really interesting program. And then the person we're telling it to is just like, yeah, whatever, Andrew, I'll just come to your concert.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, the people are looking for the personality that they can kind of engage with in a way. And festivals have artistic directors, or they have people who are in the music field who work for them, who could just as easily be a spokesperson for the festival, who you as an audience member, of course, would see at the event, but maybe not on stage. But they're still doing this thing of, well, we need media from the artists and so on. But what happens if the festival was actually these three personalities who were advocating for, you should come to this because it's really good, and if you like my taste, you'll like.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
So I'm kind of missing that, but I know that some people are really antsy about breaking the curtain, you know, like breaking the wall that we build between us and the audience. And
I think, you know, the audience for a festival, let's say, they're not going to check out every concert before they decide to buy a season ticket. They're going to think, I like that city, I love the style of music, it's going to be great, should we go this year? And then they're going to book their tickets and they're going to go. So I think it's only beneficial to add a bit of personality and say, we also, you know, you're very welcome, we want you back here, this is what's going on, I'm excited about this, this and this. It's not usually a specific concert that someone's making the trip for. It's the whole thing. It's being there, it's being part of it, being part of that family. So I think there's no real danger in removing that barrier a little bit. It's nice, you know. This is also why we cannot start this topic. I apologize in advance. But this is also why I feel a little bit funny about medieval Renaissance music in a big black dress far away on a stage. Because actually, everyone, us and them, would enjoy it more if I could get up and in their face and tell the story.
the mask.
Yeah. The medieval woven Bayeux tapestry mask. Yeah.
I'm just going to put my rough collar here.
Just
all the way around.
love it. We'll do it next time.
I like it.
I think sometimes there's a kind of mistaken veil of professionalism that they don't want to remove. But actually, it's professional these days to be making content. That's all right. Don't worry.
It all like comes back to the whole 30 under 30 in the end. Because what are they trying to do by doing this 30 under 30 thing? Is trying to build the sort of artistic personas, which are so inhuman in a way to me. Like this idea of, oh, that person is an artist. Don't you know who he is? Oh, fantastic artist. You know what I mean? But like this sort of thing where you meet like some...
It's like the genius.
And the person in the audience who's watching them, who's been following them their whole career, turns around and goes, shh. You know, when you say, who is this guy or whatever, shh. That genius is going to come out of the lightning will strike your brain and whatever. This is something which you see they're still trying to push. The festivals are still going for, look at this guy or this woman. They're fantastic. You'll be blown away by the magic. And the festival themselves try and create this, well, we are this gilded institution and we only bring exclusive and, we've been in this city, we've been the biggest festival and whatever, and, biggest early music festival, blah, 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 whatever. And actually, I think if people knew us on a one-on-one level, or at least had the idea from a YouTube series or something, where we were actually talking our own opinions or our own taste and demonstrating that, I think would be a much more successful route. Yeah. But at the same time, when you look at the audiences, they're not building a new generation. They're kind of milking the
nice gesture there.
Is that how you milk a cow? Twist? I think it's more like...
Wow, he's continuing.
I don't know. I'm not a farmer. I never milked a cow. Anyway. Foreign gestures aside, I'm not entirely convinced.
Again, it could be a two-audience thing, though, because there will definitely be people out there who do not want to see us in our pajamas saying, hey, guys, just woke up this morning and do some practice. And there'll be people that say, oh, come on, just produce a professional track and dress up nice for me. And, and I've heard people complaining about this, actually, but not in terms of vlogging or social media, but saying they're watching a concert and they say, this guy's sitting down trying to look casual and I find it disrespectful. They actually think that it's like, dance monkey, they should be doing exactly what they expect on stage. So I think that audience is still very much a big market. Right. It's just that you can, there's a lot more people to get in touch with if you come a bit closer. And you let them in, to the fact that you are human. Yeah. And you're not always wearing a glitzy dress, and sometimes you're, practicing at home, or you make a home video, or you make a quick clip and say something, to the audience. That's okay for a certain audience.
Maybe you're not going to get a season ticket holder or a festival pass holder, but it's the person who says, okay, well, if I only have time for one concert, if there's one, I'll go to the person whose taste I respect. And I think that's where the festivals have an opportunity to create that one-on-one, if they're willing to break the barrier between the institution and the public.
Yeah. Then you get into the whole issue of people who actually just want to do their job and not be online. Yeah. And then someone says, hey, wouldn't it be great if you actually, do a little vlog for us for the festival? And they're like, leave me alone. I'm just trying to do my job here in the office.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like can of worms. It's kind of worms.
No, you're absolutely right. And it's someone has to want to do that, and it has to be regular. Yeah. It can't just be 2 weeks before the festival, because then they're looking at a stranger who's like, I'm so excited, That
it's really a separate job, I think. Yeah.
But there is, the web is changing in a way, and I think classical music, where suddenly many of us, especially after the pandemic, we're kind of realizing, okay, there are some avenues that we haven't gone down yet.
I like how you say after the pandemic.
You're right. During. After the
in this
third
little glimmer
wave.
of hope that's about to
before our
again.
dreams are destroyed, finally obliterated.
God.
Like a broken mirror.
Wow.
I don't know.
You should have done drama, Andrew.
Yeah, I should have. When I was in 7th grade, I got the drama award for my class.
What's 7th grade?
I was 11.
Aww.
Yeah.
Well done. And the career was just downhill from there. Yeah. Still, you had that moment of glory.
Now I have a podcast.
And on that note.
there we are. All right, so that's it from us today. Thank you very much for watching or listening. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell after hitting subscribe so you get notifications about our future posts. We have an audio podcast as well. You can find that in any of your audio apps. And that's it. Grace, do we have anything else?
Not that I can think of.
If you have a hot tip, send it to survivingclassicalmusic@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.
See you next time.
Bye.